Evening.
How are you?
Good.
Can you stop the recording every time I get recorded? I'll tell you to put it on again.
We are on
20.
20. Top. We're talking about Malika. When you divide the bird's neck from behind, we said that you can also, the Kohen would move the two pipes, the esophagus and the tracheus, to the back of the bird's neck, divide that before they would break the bone. Maybe you have to do it that way. My irya moilik. Why would Malika work like that? Afilu shochet nami. Shchita. Remember, we learned shchita from the side also works. So even shchita from this way, without cutting into the bone, would work as well. Elalav shma'ina af masir. It means it could be performed that way, but you don't have to. The Mishnah is talking about when he didn't move it to the back, but it would be okay. So, Amar Rav Yanai, Yikablu Aroivinas Chuvasim, B'nei Rav Chia, who said that you can do Malika on the esophagus and the trachea by themselves, will accept the fact that they've been pushed aside. Diktani. Nimsa kosher b'shchita possible Malika. That which is okay by shchita is invalid by Malika. Kosher b'Malika possible b'shchita. Now, what is that excluding lemute mai? Lav lemute maksud simon lachaya oirev. It's excluding the case that Malika doesn't work the low when you pull the pipes that way. No, Malika would work, but if you used shchita with a tooth or a fingernail, that would not work. So shein v'tziporin badektani. The Mishnah says directly that you can't use those for shchita. Malika is done when you dive your fingernail right into the trachea and esophagus. There's no back and forth movement. And if you do back and forth, it's not good. That explanation is good according to the one who says that when you slide it back and forth, it's possible. How will the sons of Rav Chia explain? Because they hold, like the ones that say that if you saw through it and not just pierce it, it would be possible. Rav Khan, mitzvahs malika koitzitz v'yored. The primary mitzvah is to go straight down with your fingernail until you divide the trachea and the esophagus. The zui mitzvah. In he's medayik that it means you can't saw through them. Who says kosher came to kosher? It would be a kosher cane that it would work. Umay zui mitzvah ema av zui mitzvah. It means going directly as opposed to sawing is another way of doing it, but it's not to exclude the other. Wherever you shecht in the front of the neck, so when you do it behind the neck, by Malika is also kosher. Meaning you can do it anywhere. Which implies possible b'shchita, possible Malika. Wherever you shecht, where it's bad, it'll be bad by Malika as well. Now, when is that excluding lemute mai? Let's say the esophagus or the trachea are dislocated. And then you'll say the Malika won't work. That which we say by shchita, that if you do ikor, it apostles, it's not a psul by malika. Rosho. If you do the malika from the back of the bird's head, it's not good. Rosho, pshita. It says mimula por rachmana, that which faces the head, which is the back of the neck. Veloba rosho. My rosho, shipui rosho, where the head begins to slope. Kigon denokat mishipur, you start the malika there. Vehigrim vozad dematatzu, and then you go low to the normal place of malika. Like we learned by Shchita, Kravun Amaravasi. Kravun Amaravasi, Higrim Shlish, V'shachtu Shnei Shlish. If you started off by shechting a third in an improper place, V'shachat Shnei Shlish, Psula. We said before that Shchita is not good. And therefore the Malika would not be good either. Ravashi. That there's no disqualification of Ikur, where one of either the esophagus or the trachea were dislocated prior to the shechita. There is a debate whether the requirement to shecht a bird is a requirement in a Torah or if it's only rabbinic. This concept where we said that Ikur Simonim doesn't work by a bird, it's only according to the Mandama that says there's no shechita min Torah. But the one who says, just like by a cow and a sheep, you need shechita, by a bird, you need shechita, yesh ikur. Then there is a disqualification if the trachea or the esophagus were dislocated prior to the shechita. I could learn the opposite. The one who says that shechita is required in the Torah, maybe Hashem told Moshe that there is no ikor either. According to the ones that learn the fact that you have to shech the bird from the fact that you have to shech the behema, it's different than the fact that ikor by a behema disqualifies it. Doesn't disqualify it by a bird. But according to the opinion that says shechita of a bird's only rabbanon, elam divrei sofrin, mehechig mirila, where did they learn this whole concept that you need shechita for a bird? Mebehema, kula milsa kebehema. So therefore, you're going to learn everything for the behema. Madoch, you're not allowed to shecht an animal that has ikor. Same thing. There'll be a psul by shechita of a bird. Ravina. Armali Ravin Bar Kisi. Hadatani Ravin Bar Cheskel. Ein ikor simanim ba'ov. That if the trachea or the esophagus was dislocated prior to the shechita, it doesn't damage the shechita. Lo yamorn el b'malika. When we said there's no ikor by birds, that's if you do malika. But if you do shechita, there is a disqualification of ikor. V'amar v'yamar Shmuel. Whatever works by shechita, connected ba'arf kosher b'malika, works by malika. Ha puzzle, but that which is puzzle by shechita should be puzzle as well. So if there's a disqualification by shechita when there's ikor, it should be the same thing by malika. So the Gemara says hahu pliga. It's a kasha with Ravin Bar Kisi. So there's a machlokas regarding that. Amr Zeiri. New din. Nishba marfrekas v'rav basa imer. If an animal's neck is broken, means the bones of the neck, and most of the flesh, then the animal is a nevela. Now there's a difference between a nevela and a treifa. Of course, nevela is makabel tumma. It conveys tumma. A treifa does not. So it's if the animal was killed other than shechita. And there's tumma. If you have an animal that's a treifa and you shecht it, there's no tumma. But here, a broken neck with most of its flesh makes it a treifa. And la halacha, it's considered dead. And therefore, it's already metame as nevela. And shechita will not help that. On Rav Chisda Fanana Mitanina. We learn this in the Mishnah. Molak b'sakin. You're supposed to do malika with your fingernail and from the back of the neck. Let's say you used a knife from the back of the neck. So that makes it a nevela. The time of Gorim Abe Sabliya. Nevela of a bird only conveys tumah when it's in your mouth, not when you touch it, like a nevela of an animal. Iyamr treifa, who, if when you break its neck, it's only a treifa, malikasa zuish chitasa. So the malika, we also break it, when you do malika on a bird, you break its neck. So tahani leisakin letar midei nevela. So shchita should also prevent it from becoming a nevela. But the Brisa clearly says it is a nevela. Said if the animal's neck is broken, and when you do shchita from the back of the neck, you're certainly going to break the bone first. It also renders it a nevela. Well, it certainly is going to convey tumah because malika is not shchita, even if you do it with a knife. My time. Why is it not shchita? Ravuna Amar Meshu Machlid. Because you burrow the knife under the neck bone, which is chalada. You hit the neck bone before the trachea and the esophagus. So after you go through the neck bone, the knife is burrowing beneath it and going in, rather than when you cut it from the front, where then everything spreads apart. This doesn't spread apart. Rav Amar Meshu Doires. You're not moving it from side to side, which you're supposed to do with shchita. You're pressing down. That's the psul. Why doesn't he say, my time kosher? Even though we said before that moilach umevi by malika, some say it doesn't work. He holds that it does work. My time. Why doesn't he say it's because of burrowing? Like a weasel, which you never see. It lives under your house, completely concealed. But the knife here, everyone sees it. So it's only when you can't see the knife that there's a psul of chalad, because it's buried into the tissue. Amarava. Ikashli, if I have a problem with Zairi, Akashli, the chimesa oimed a moilik. If the bird is dead, of course malika won't work. Ziri said the animal is considered dead if you break its neck. So malika, even when you do regular malika, you break its neck, you go through the bone first, then you get to the trachea and the esophagus. So the regular malika is being done on a bird that's already dead. Amalei Abaya. Well, now, normally a bird, you only have to cut through 51% of either the trachea or the esophagus. You don't need both. Now, a bird ola needed both because you have to be mavdil the head. Now, the bird is certainly considered dead even after just one of them is divided. So the same thing, when you divide the second one, you're doing it on a dead bird. There's a mitzvah to be mavdil, to separate the head and its body. So therefore, that's why you have to cut open either the esophagus or the trachea, both of them. Ihachi or nami. Now we leave the skin attached. You don't cut the whole head off. It sort of hangs off. So what you need for shchita, or whatever ruins shchita, will ruin avdol. You don't necessarily need to cut the skin. If you somehow could get to the trachea and the esophagus without cutting it, it would be okay. Let's say the animal didn't have skin. There would not be a treifa, and then you would cut it. There's no requirement that you have to cut the skin. the lama akvi b'shchita. For example, according to Chachamim, if you only cut 49% of both simonim, the shchita is okay. Umakti b'avdallah, but it will be a problem. You can't have normal havdalah unless you shat through 51%. Whatever exists by shchita, you need havdalah. So since you don't have to cut the skin for shchita, it doesn't have to be cut for the havdalah either. And tomorrow we're going to learn at 5 o'clock.
5?
5 o'clock. Okay?
Yeah.
Shkoyach, everybody.
Thank you.